Amy Wu Silverman of RBC Capital joins us now, along with Mark Shmulik of Bernstein. Amy, when you look at what's happening at the end of this year, there are some major launches of consumer devices. I can't help but pay attention to the consoles, especially today. What do you think is the pandemic effect here? Because people can't go out to movies. Should investors be paying attention to certain kinds of tech hardware makers, maybe certain types of software makers as well?
Yeah, it's a great question. And, frankly, if we had looked Monday, it honestly seemed like the end of the world for all of tech and momentum. And then here we are again. So, quite honestly, I think it's going to be this slog back and forth between these work from home names working and not working. In terms of what we see in the options market, it's very interesting because we do not see the level of exuberance in options that we did back in August. So the people who are positioning in options for tech right now, they are not nearly as positive going into year end as they were back in August. And a heavy component of that was actually retail. The retail buyers were there back in August, driving the market up in tech, and in particular in these work from home names. They are not there right now.
Mark, there's a lot of e-commerce that people are banking on toward the end of this year. I mean, it's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. A lot of places, even before Thanksgiving, people are trying to get us into that spirit. How much of that do you think is warranted? Adobe's projecting it's going to be a strong season for e-commerce and digital. How should investors factor that in?
I think most investors have probably already factored in a record Q4, our very first digital stay-at-home shopping season. It kicked off back with Amazon's Prime Day back in October. That saw record numbers, and there doesn't seem to be any slowdown from here. Certainly, as you mentioned earlier, the console launches are going to contribute to it as we all get excited and really pull forward to set ourselves up for really a phenomenal Q4 across all of e-commerce. I think investors are already looking ahead at 2021 and wondering on the back of a reopen how much of that is permanent pull forward versus how much of that may recede once stores do reopen.
Mark, I think it's interesting. You're bullish on all these social media names. We've seen especially Facebook make a big investment in terms of bringing e-commerce more onto the platform. We saw that with the Instagram redesign. But I have to ask you about this TikTok deadline today, what you think is going to happen and the kind of threat TikTok could pose both to Snap and Facebook ad revenue.
Yeah, it's a great question, and it certainly came up when TikTok themselves actually put out a press release asking for some clarity on the direction of where things go. I tend to agree that this doesn't seem to be at the top of the priority list of where governments and regulators are looking at today. So I don't think we'll have certainty or finality one way or the other, at least over the next couple months. So this may take a very long time to play itself out. In the meantime, TikTok certainly hasn't stopped their activity. They've been, very aggressive at putting out a lot of new ad product, a lot of new user product features, and are certainly continuing to woo advertisers over to the platform. In terms of the relative impact across the rest of social media, to me, YouTube is probably the one I'd call out over the long term that feels like might be most at risk from a strong domestic TikTok because they serve the same feature set, right? We go in to be entertained. It's very video first and it's very consumption based. I think what we've seen from the likes of Facebook and Instagram, while there is some overlap, they've been very, very clear about their priorities around building connection tools and pushing forward their Facebook shopping activities and exercises there. So, I think for us, we look at it and this will definitely take some time to play itself out.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.